Hey everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I have Cirque Colors' new Creme de la Creme collection. As someone who's been a fan of Cirque Colors for quite a few years now, I was so freaking excited when I saw the press release for this collection. The Creme de la Creme collection features 10 cream finish polishes from the brand. These are all polishes that were previously released several years ago, and all the polishes either were seasonal when they were initially released or just discontinued over the years, and Cirque is bringing them back for a limited time at a very special price. And honestly, I feel like with all of the pricing fluctuations. With all of the price increases that we're all dealing with, I feel like it's pretty dang cool that these polishes are coming back at a discounted rate, but I'll talk more on that at the end of the video. So the Creme de la Creme polishes, unfortunately, I'm going to count them as limited edition. However, they will be around for the entire summer. All of the polishes featured in today's video were gifted to me in PR by Cirque Colors, but this video is not sponsored, but I am an affiliate with the brand. If you want to pick up any of the polishes in this release, you can use my affiliate code on the Cirque Colors website, which is just, you know, Nicole Loves Nails written over here on the screen, and that will save you 10% off of the entire website. As always, I will have links in the description box where you can pick these polishes up, links to the brand's website, social media pages, my social media pages. I will also have a link to my blog post on NicoleLovesNails.com where you can see all of my swatch photos of the collection. And as always, there are going to be timestamps in the description box, and I'll save all my final thoughts and sale information for the end of the video. Let's get into this one. First up, we have Strawberry Fields. Cirque describes this one as a cool-toned, bright red cream. Strawberry Fields is one of those red cream shades that leans like a little bit in the crelly department. It has a really like squishy, juicy vibe on the nail. And similar to other types of red cream shades that have that kind of crelly lean to them, I did have a little bit of visible nail line with this shade. I honestly did not see a huge difference in opacity between the first coat and the second coat. So I will call this one a one coater, but you're also still gonna have visible nail line. Even with the visible nail line, I still opted to only swatch this one in 2 coats, just because I didn't see like a massive difference between the first coat and the second coat. I didn't think there was going to be a massive difference between the second coat and the third coat either. While this polish does dry down really glossy on its own, my full hand swatches still show this polish in 2 coats with a glossy top coat. Next up, we have Blushing Queens. The brand describes this one as a raspberry pink cream. Strawberry Fields I would describe as a crelly polish. Blushing Queens is right in the middle of being a cream and a crelly. It leans more towards being a cream though. I swatched this one in 2 coats. I had like the teeniest bit of visible nail line, but again, not enough to get me to add a 3rd coat. Blushing Queens is one of several polishes in this collection that I had actually previously owned from the brand. I actually had destashed this one because I absolutely hated the formula. As it turns out, I didn't hate the formula, I hated the old skinny brush. I don't personally recall Blushing Queens ever staining me in the past, but as always, I do recommend wearing base coat and doubling up on base coat if you're particularly concerned about staining. And now we have Sunset Park, which Cirque describes as a coral cream. I would actually more so describe this one in more of the kind of salmony coral family. I generally think of coral as having a lot more orange in it than this one does. This is very much in that kind of pinky, salmony kind of family. Formula on this one was pretty good, but I did notice how good my application was depending very strongly on my base coat. Whenever I am swatching creams on my full hand swatches, I always use a combination of a peel-off base coat and a smoothing base coat. And I noticed on my nails where I forgot to put down the smoothing base that application was like a little bit uneven and kind of patchy, and I needed 3 coats to even everything out. But on my nails where I had the smoothing base on top of the peel off base coat, I had perfect application in only 2 coats. So I don't think the formula of this one is going to play super nicely with a water-based base coat unless you put another layer of base coat on top of that one. And I don't count not playing well with a water-based base coat as being like an issue per se, because I find that happens a lot with nail polishes. But you know, just something to keep note of. While I don't think every single polish in this collection screams summer to me personally, I do feel like this shade in particular is very, very summery. And now we have Hustle, which Cirque describes as a chartreuse yellow cream. Hustle is another one of the polishes in this collection that I previously had purchased this one when Cirque still had their super skinny brush. And again, the application is greatly improved with the wide paddle brush. The formula was a bit on the thicker side, but not so thick that I had any difficulty in application. It also self-leveled nicely as well. When I have worn this one in the past, sometimes I'm good in 2 coats, sometimes I definitely need a 3rd coat. So I'll call it a 2 to 3 coater depending on your application style. And I also do want to warn, when I have worn this polish in the past from one of the older batches, I did find that it is a stainer. It stained my nails this kind of lovely shade of a yellowy greenish kind of color. And in case anyone is curious about whether the fact that I know that it's a stainer has stopped me from wearing it, and the answer to that is no. I think I wore this one like 3 times last year. But definitely double up on base coat at the bare minimum if you really want to prevent staining with this one. And now we have Keys to Gramercy, which the brand describes as a blue-leaning light green cream. I kind of disagree with that color description. I don't really see a ton of blue in this shade. It's very cool toned, yes, but I would say this is a very like minty green color. And I feel like it has like just like the teeniest droplet of maybe like a gray in it. I feel like this one has just like a tiny bit of dustiness to it. Formula overall was pretty good though. It was very streaky and uneven on that first coat, and I honestly thought I was going to need 3 coats for this one. But my full hand swatches as well as the live swatch were both really good in 2 coats. I remember this one being hyped up quite a bit on Instagram back in the day, and I never personally saw the reason for the hype, so I did not personally buy this one back then. I will say now that I have it in person and looking at it, I can see why people were really enjoying it, even if it's still not the color for me personally. For seasonal polish wearers, I feel like this would work well both in the fall and spring. And now we have Golightly, which Cirque describes as a robin egg blue cream. I would say this is a bit darker than what I personally envision for robin's egg blue. I kind of think of that as a very light toned color, and I feel like most blue eggs also have a bit of green to them. This one is a very interesting color. Sometimes I feel like it's a teal, other times no, it's definitely blue. It's something in the middle of a teal and a blue, and I absolutely love it. This one for sure lived up to the hype for me. The formula was also very fantastic, but also on the thicker side. This was a 1 coater for me. As always, my full hand swatches do show the polish in 2 coats with glossy top coat. I did not personally experience any staying with this shade, but because it is opaque in 1 coat, I would caution very strongly this is a potential stainer, so make sure to double up on base coat if you're concerned about that. And now we have Highline, which the brand describes as a light blue lavender cream. Highline is another one of the polishes in this collection that I had previously purchased and also destashed because I flat out hated it.
Hate it, hate it, hate it. Literally my pants, hate it.
So imagine the shocked Pikachu face I made when I swatched this one out and I was like, wait a damn minute, why isn't this terrible? So I'm currently thinking that there are 2 likely scenarios on why my tune has now changed for this polish. The first, most obvious being the wide paddle brush. The wide paddle brush greatly improved the application of this polish. When I had previously tried it with the skinny brush, I just really had a hard time getting a nice even layer on the nail. And then the second thing in which I think we often forget to count when applying nail polish, I think my ability to put on nail polish has also greatly improved since 2018 when this polish originally came out. That being said, I do think that if you're one of those people, which is also me, if you just keep adding more and more brush strokes onto your nail, you're just going to make this one look worse and worse and worse. You're not going to fix anything. So I would recommend trying to do the 3-stroke method for applying this one. Leave it at 3 and then add another coat. Don't try to fix it because you're not in fact going to fix it. And I speak from personal experience because I'm pretty sure that's what happened to me when I had previously purchased this one. And now we have Rhapsody in Blue, which Cirque describes as a cobalt periwinkle blue cream. I like to think myself as a connoisseur of cobalt blue creams. I own dozens of them at this point. I will say, I feel like for this particular one, I am seeing just like a slight hint, an undertone, something that is a little bit more purple leaning than other cobalt blue creams that I have. For whatever reason, periwinkles and cobalt blues often photograph really bright in comparison to the color they actually are in person. And I did find that to be the case for this particular polish. I found that this one photographed very much what I think of as like a bright cobalt blue, but in person I was seeing just like a little bit of what I guess is that periwinkle, like it pulls just like slightly purple, because I never really thought of Rhapsody in Blue and periwinkle being the, you know, same color family. I opted to pull out my 2017 bottle of Rhapsody in Blue and compare it to the 2025 bottle. I do feel like the 2025 bottle is a slightly, and I mean slightly, different color than my 2017 bottle. It's a slight enough color difference that I didn't catch it initially being a slightly different color at all, so I would say that if you missed out on the original, this is going to be a good option to grab. And because I was curious, I went back to look at some blog posts from 2016 and 2017 that featured this nail polish just to see if that purple tone was in there. And the photos I'm seeing, there definitely is that slight purple tone to this one. So I do think that my 2017 bottle just has changed over time, and not that the 2025 version is a different polish than the 2017 one. To be perfectly honest, I am shocked that it took me this long to realize that the polish changed, because again, I've had it since 2017 and I never realized that it had a purple tone to it or that it has changed with time.
That, you know, and they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
And in case you couldn't tell of that little mini saga of me finding out that one of my favorite polishes of all time is a different color than I had actually thought it was, this was really difficult to color correct. My initial photos I feel like were a little bit too blue. The periwinkle / purple was not coming out at all. And my final photos, I feel like they lean like maybe just a little bit too purple. Formula on this, by the way, was fantastic. A little bit on the thicker side, and it was also a 1-coater on me, which is slightly different than my 2017 bottle. My 2017 bottle was actually a 2-coater. And now we have Whitney, which the brand describes as a dusty pale lilac pink cream. The added dustiness this polish has gives this a very kind of pinky purple kind of vibe on the nail. This is a really light shade, and I honestly expected the formula to be kind of terrible to work with, but I was pleasantly surprised that it was really opaque on that first coat. Not quite a 1-coater, but very, very close. And it self-leveled very nicely as well, especially well for such a light colored shade. I did notice that it does dry down just slightly, and I mean slightly darker than it initially applies. I do think that if you tend to overwork polishes, that if you do, you're gonna need 3 coats for this one. I was able to control myself and I only needed 2 coats for my full hand swatches.
I'm a professional. This is what I do.
Last and certainly not least, we have Jane on Jane Street, and the brand describes this one as a mauve pink cream. Also, in case anyone is wondering why I did rainbow order for this entire video but ended on 2 pinks, that is because when I had swatched these out, my brain said, Nicole, those are purple, put them at the end.
I've done some dumb things. And I'll do dumb things again.
Even though the brand does describe this as a mauve pink, I still feel like mauve equals purple in my brain. Jane on Jane Street had a fantastic formula, slightly on the thicker side, dries down a little bit darker than it initially applies, and it was also very, very close to being a 1-coater, but my full hand swatches do show the polish in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. I strongly dislike this type of color, even though the polish itself is fantastic and great. I just really don't like this particular color, especially on myself. But if this is your kind of vibe, this was a good one. Alrighty, so final thought. When I saw the press release email for this collection, I screamed. Cirque Colors Golightly is one of those polishes from the brand that I have had on my lemmings list for quite a long time. I talked myself out of it when it was initially released when I first started buying from the brand, and I've never been able to find it again, and so when I saw that was on there, I screamed. For a couple of these polishes, I had previously owned a few of these, and I had actually destashed them. If you were unaware, Cirque Colors used to have a really skinny brush, and I honestly truly hated it. They switched to the rounded paddle brush, I think like 2 or 3 Vice collections ago, I think, is when they first started incorporating the rounded paddle brush that they now use. And the difference in application for polishes between the rounded brush versus their old skinny brush is truly night and day. I kind of feel like I'm cheating just like a little bit on my top picks for this release, largely because I'm picking them because one of the polishes I already owned, and then the other polish is one that I really, really wanted. So obviously, Rhapsody in Blue and Golightly are going to be my top picks from this release. Y'all know I have just a teeny tiny problem when it comes to cobalt leaning blues. There's just something about that tone of blue.
This is the kind of thing that just tickles my...
That just does something to my brain, and I can't stop buying colors like that. especially Cremes for some reason, and not buy more polishes in that same exact colorway, because like I love it so much. And I also want to give an honorable mention to Hustle, because that's another one that I had previously already had from the brand, and I just love that shade of green. As far as pricing and sale information goes, the Creme de la Creme collection is available right now on the Cirque Colors website. Usually for Cirque Color creams, they're usually priced at $12.50, but all 10 polishes in this collection are going to be priced at $10.50. Which again is super, super exciting because Cirque polishes haven't been $10 in a hot minute. The Creme de la Creme collection will be available for the rest of summer. I am assuming by the wording in the press release that since it says through the summer, I'm going to call these limited edition and they likely won't be around for say Black Friday sales. But if you want to pick these up at a discount as well, you can use my affiliate code Nicole to save an additional 10%. I would love to know what everyone thought of this release. Are you planning on picking up? Have you already picked up? You know the drill. Let me know all your thoughts and feelings. Also, let me know if you're excited about the upcoming Vice collection, whenever that might be. Who knows? Not me. Before we end today's video, I want to give a very special shout out to my channel members, Shenanigans, Stormy fans, your names of course all on the screen right now. If you would like to sign up for my channel memberships, there is of course a link in the description box, or you can click join next to the subscribe button. But as always, please do not feel pressure to do so. Just like the video, comment, share, subscribe, all the things, and seriously, we are good. If you like seeing my face here over on the YouTubes, I also have a second channel where I post all of my non-nail polish shenanigans. It is just my name, Nicole Danielson. And if you really, really like me, you can come check me out on all my other social media pages, or come hang out in my Discord server. I am just all over the place. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a fantastic week, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.